Hi, I'm Richard from Drive Green, and today we're going to be spending a bit of time with the Kia EV6. I've been really excited about spending some time with this much anticipated award-winning car, just to see whether it's worthy of all its hype. Kia was actually one of the earlier entrants into the EV market with their electric Kia Soul, which has been around since 2014. This has always been a popular seller on the Forecourt. Nice quirky styling, quality car with lots of spec. Things have moved on since then, and you can really see the benefits of Kia's now 7 years experience with EVs in the quality of what they are producing. Now, the new Kia Soul was launched in 2020, and this came equipped with a 260-mile range from its 64 kilowatt-hour battery. It also shows the direction of travel Kia were going, and it's actually a supremely good car. Very well made, lovely interior, and a much more modern styling. Kia are now a manufacturer to be reckoned with, and are probably set to be a dominant force in the car market in the coming years. To start off with, I'd like to gush over this car's good looks. Kia have really gone to town to try and make this car look as good looking as possible, and the result is simply stunning, I think. The front especially is so sleek and sweeping and sporty. It doesn't look aggressive, it just looks confident. It hits the right notes, looking eye-catching but not being too showy. You've got this lovely sweeping stripe down the side of the car that runs right from the spoiler all the way down underneath the doors. You've got flush door handles, a very subtly hidden charging flap. The intricacy of these rear lights is really nice. You've got the spoilers, this subtle grille at the front. Even the Kia badge is starting to look cool. It's style everywhere and looks great from every angle. They've hit all the design notes perfectly. The car's not too ostentatious, yet at the same time, it probably looks better than any other car in the car park. They've done a brilliant job with this modern yet pleasingly beautiful design. When you compare it to its obvious competition like the Model 3 or the Ioniq 5, for me, the EV6 is by far the better looking car. It's a brilliantly sized car as well, and a real achievement in design how they've managed to put so much practical space in, whilst at the same time making this car look so sleek and stylish. One thing that has surprised me is how big this car actually is. Whilst its obvious competition might be the Model 3 or the Polestar 2 or the Ioniq 5, the EV6 is actually a much bigger car. I'd say this is actually as big as a Jaguar I-Pace, and whilst the I-Pace may not seem an obvious competitor to this car, I think it actually is, and the EV6 is a worthy alternative. There is plenty of room front and rear. In fact, there's so much space in the back, it's incredible. And the seats even recline like an airline seats, just in case you ever want to sleep in the car. Not a likely scenario, but given this car's 300-mile range, that's a journey long enough for your passenger to maybe want to get some shut-eye. Boot space is excellent too. When the seats are folded flat, this car's actually got 1,300 litres of boot space. That's only 150 litres less than the MG5 with its seats folded down, and that's an estate car. It's a decent size with the seats up as well. Loads better than a Model 3, for example. Now, the interior of this car is absolutely lush. I think it's definitely one of my favourites. It's very modern looking, very, very stylish indeed. Lovely materials, lovely patterning. It's a very high quality interior. The tech and the modernness is done in a very classy way. It's confident, just like the exterior. You've got this lovely sweeping combined dash and infotainment system display. Really decent scale, lovely and crisp. Brilliant to look at, and a very clever piece of design, because it is nice and big, but however it's not sort of overpowering. It doesn't dominate the interior. You've got some nice additional controls beneath the infotainment centre, so they're all touch sensitive. However, they give you immediate controls for things that are important, like your menu settings, as well as your heating system. And I think that's a nice touch. I think Kia have gone for, practicality of making this car easy to live with, rather than just being unnecessarily techy for the sake of it. And you've got this lovely centre section here. It really is incredibly modern and stylish. Looks quite futuristic, very tactile, nice materials as well. Nice place for the induction charging pad for your phone, right where you want it. And even the gear selector dial has a real feeling of quality about it. The seats are really nice as well. You've got two seat options. You've got a sort of a black faux vegan leather, which is the only option that's available on the base spec model. Then when you go up into the upper specs, you get the choice of these premium seats like we've got in the car today, which is a mixture of sort of pale, again, faux vegan leather, and sort of suede finish, and are really, really lovely. Not surprisingly, like the rest of the car, the interior is really nice as well. There's also been a lot of attention to detail in terms of using natural and recycled materials to make a very low carbon vehicle, which I think is great. Overall, this is a really, really nice interior. You know you're in a nice cutting edge modern car, and I must say I think it's probably one of my favourite interiors. Being Kia's flagship EV, it's no surprise that this car does indeed come very well spec'd. There's three different trims. You've got the base spec Air trim, then you've got the GT line like the one we're driving today, and then at the very top you've got the GT line S. The base spec starts at about £41,000, going all the way up to 53 at the very, very top. Now the base spec trim Air is a little bit more basic, but actually it does still come really quite well equipped. As standard, it has heated seats, heated steering wheel, LED lights, reversing camera and sensors, electronic handbrake, auto hold, and you've got adaptive cruise control and steering assist. Now the next trim level up is the GT line, like the car that I'm driving today. It costs an extra £3,000, but there's some quite nice options there. You've got adaptive LED headlights, you've got solar glass, privacy glass, you've got a few extra driver assistance functions. It comes with front sensors, an induction charging pad, electrically adjustable memory seats. Now the top trim, the GT Line S, comes packed full of spec. Pretty much everything you can think of, taking this car right up, I think, into the premium sector. Now all this lovely extra spec comes at an additional £4,500 price tag above the spec level below. In fact, £7,500 more than the base spec model. However, there's some lovely items in here and I think it's probably well worth it. You've got nice big 20-inch alloys, you've got a fully opening sunroof, you get a head-up display, a 360-degree camera system, a nice 14-speaker Meridian sound system which sounds absolutely great. You get heated rear seats and cooled front seats as well. But one really cool feature the top two trims have is you've actually got a 13 amp plug socket in the back of the car in between the seats. So you can plug in, I know, a laptop or a mini fridge or whatever you like into that, which is a great and rather unique touch. But you've also got what Kia described as vehicle to load. So you've got an adapter that plugs into the Type 2 charging socket and turns that into a 13 amp socket itself. So you can use that to plug in, well, at whatever you like, treating the car a bit like a portable generator. Now this is known as vehicle to load and shouldn't be confused with vehicle to home because you can't actually plug your house into this car and run your home from it. That isn't really quite a thing yet. However, what you can do is you can plug quite a substantial item in. It outputs 3.6 kilowatts, which is a pretty decent sized generator. And of course, with the massive battery this has, that's tons of power there. So, for example, would be great on a camping trip. You can plug anything you like into the car. And equally, you could also use your car potentially as a backup. Say you have a power cut, you could run an extension lead from the car to your house, plug in your fridge, freezer, your internet, maybe your TV and some lights to give you a nice sort of grid backup. I'm a bit of a prepper at heart, and whilst I realise it's perhaps not the most useful of features, it's one that I greatly enjoy, and I'm really glad this car has it. The top two specs also come with a smart parking assist feature, which, as well as giving you plenty of parking assistance in the self-parking mode, you can actually use the key to park and to summon your car from a parallel parking spot, which is great for sort of parking in a tight parking space or in the garage. Really useful with this car because, of course, it is quite a big wide car. A heat pump is also available as an additional option on any car within the range, including the base spec. Now, what a heat pump is a super efficient heating system. It uses compression, a bit like a fridge or an air conditioning system, to generate heat. as opposed to a resistive load heater like you would have in a bar heater or even in a kettle. What this means is the heating system uses far less energy, and what that in turn means is you'll get a better range out of the car in those cold winter days. I'm glad it's there as an option, because sometimes, especially with these long-range vehicles, I do question how necessary it is. Yes, in the middle of winter, it'll probably give you an extra 10, 20 miles worth of driving range, but when you've got a car that's capable of doing about 300 miles worth of driving, you know, it's only going to be the odd occasion that's actually a critical feature to have. Now, this car comes with internet connectivity, it comes with an app, of course, but you also get a Kia charge point charging card, which is rather nice. Basically, you can use the app or you can use this charge card to pay for actually quite a large portion of the UK public charging network, saving you having to mess around with multiple apps or multiple different RFID payment cards. For anyone who's had an EV for a long time, that would be a dream back in the early days, having just one thing that you can use to pay for all your different charging. It's a little bit less relevant now that all the charge points are switching over to being contactless. However, it's quite a coup by Kia to have achieved this with all the other charge point networks, and it's a really nice little extra thing to have. The EV6 is at the top of its class in terms of range and competes alongside every high-range EV out there, even though its battery is smaller than some. The car is currently available with a 77 kilowatt-hour battery, giving the car roughly about 300 miles-ish of driving range. It's worth always caveating that because there is no one driving range. There's so many variables that affect it, such as driving style, speed of driving, time of year, terrain. However, 300 miles is certainly attainable. But you've got to remember this is quite a fast, heavy car. So if you're a little bit heavy-footed, you can get considerably less. However, certainly when you're looking at about 300 miles, it's got a range that's comparable with any top-end, long-range EV out there. Except for the lower cost and lower spec Air model, the EV6 is available in both rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive configurations. Now the rear-wheel drive model does 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds, which is nice and brisk, but it's nothing remarkable by the modern EV standards. It is, however, rear-wheel drive, so it still gives you quite a nice, engaging sort of drive feel. Now the all-wheel drive model does put the power down a lot better, giving you a 0 to 60 time of a blistering 5.2 seconds. Now that's really, really quick. It may not be quite as quick as the equivalent Model 3 or Polestar 2, however it's close enough for you to not be able to notice the difference. Now all that extra power comes at a bit of an extra cost. To have all-wheel drive over rear-wheel drive costs an additional £2,500, and also it will cost you a little bit of range, maybe 15, 20 miles worth of range. So I would kind of have a look at how you like to drive and decide for yourself whether that extra power and that extra handling is worth the extra money. Personally, I think it is. Drive-wise, I've got no complaints at all. It's super refined and it feels like it's at the cutting edge of EVs in terms of its tech and how it performs and handles. Now the car is quick, it's fun to drive, it handles and corners really well. I mean, it really is a very nice car to drive and it's very, very hard to fault. It's got multiple drive settings, including a snow setting and of course a sports mode, which I always like to see. And what I'm extra pleased about is actually Kia have put the drive mode selector on the steering wheel, which means you can quickly sort of chop and change between the modes you're in, which I think is really nice. It means I can flick into sports mode, say I need to do a very rapid overtaking manoeuvre, I'll just flick into sports mode and then off you go. It's also got adjustable regen via these paddles on the steering wheel as well. Again, really nice to have these so easily accessible while you're driving, so it means you can kind of tweak and change things according to what you're doing. I obviously prefer to drive in the higher regen settings for my more urban driving and take it down in the regen when I'm cruising on an A road or the motorway, for example. This really is a very, very nice car to drive, and it drives every bit as well as, if not better than, all of its obvious immediate competitors. It drives like it looks, basically. It drives like a state-of-the-art EV. Charging is where the EV6 really does excel above other EVs because it can accept a whopping 350 kilowatts of charge, which is easily 3 times or more than most EVs out there. Now what that means, if you're lucky enough to find a 350 kilowatt super rapid charger, it means you can probably charge about 200 miles worth of driving range back into this car in under a 15-minute charging stop, which is amazing. You know, and those 350 kilowatt charging stations are quite few and far between. However, it's good to know this car can accept a nice high level of charge, because certainly 100, 120, 150 kilowatt chargers are getting much, much more commonplace. Another place where the Kia really excels is its warranty. You get a full 7-year warranty with this car, and that's on the whole car. This compares to most European and American manufacturers who are still giving 3 and sometimes 4 years warranty on their car. Even the Kia's nearest cousin, the Ioniq 5, only comes with a 5-year warranty. So there's just another little bit extra to help justify this car's slightly more expensive price point. This really is an amazing car. Not surprisingly, it does come at a bit of a premium price. You know, it starts at just over 40,000 and it goes all the way up to over 50,000, making it, you know, a tiny bit more expensive than, you know, its obvious immediate competitors such as the Model 3 or the Ioniq 5. However, if you compare it to something like the I-Pace, and I do think this is a comparable car, suddenly it's a huge amount cheaper. It's a shame its price point will put it out of the reach of many purchasers, but it's the cost of being such a great car. No corners have been cut, nothing has been skimped on, and as a result it is a brilliant EV and worth its price tag. I mean, Kia haven't been trying to produce an everyman car here. What Kia have been trying to do with this is to showcase what they're capable of, and producing a car that can stand alongside, if not head and shoulders above, all other EVs out there. This really is a brilliant car and possibly one of the best EVs I've ever driven. I mean, it looks simply gorgeous. It's got a great interior. The spec level's great, it handles good, performs really well, and it's got an industry-leading range as well. It really is a very difficult car to find fault with. Kia have definitely made no compromises in the pursuit of making the best EV they possibly can. In fact, I think it's probably fair to say this could well be the best car on the road. If you're looking for a stunning, feature-packed, state-of-the-art EV, then I think the Kia EV6 may well be the perfect electric car for you. I hope this video has been useful in helping you find out a little bit more about the Kia EV6. If you'd like to find out more, or if you'd like to arrange a test drive, please do get in touch. Please also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our other EV review videos, and hopefully we can help you find the right EV for you. Thank you very much for watching.